So welcome everyone. This is Selma and Selma Lewis, PhD in psychotherapy, and myself. I'm Trina Mann. I have my doctorate in physical therapy. I'm an orthopedic specialist, and we're here to work a little bit on creating a toolbox. And the first tool that we want to work on with everyone, because it's a very kind of jangly time right now. If you haven't noticed, there's a lot of things going around, and maybe you might have noticed that it's more difficult sleeping, or you have more difficulty settling down to do your meditation work, or more difficulty focusing or being present. And so we just wanted to offer a couple simple, very easy tools that you can work with to help yourself kind of arrive and be present. When I am in the hospital with people and they are dealing with very difficult times in their life, and I try to give them a breathing technique, something that people say to me all the time is, I can't do that. That doesn't work for me. And I agree. It's sort of like the boat's already sinking and somebody gives you like a small spoon to try to get the water out with. It's better if you can start these techniques when life is like a little bit more calm, so you can have a practice, because they are a practice. And what Selma and I notice in ourselves and also in the clients that we work with is that the more you work these tools, the easier they will be and the better you will get at them. And the first two tools we want to introduce are breathing, and then noticing awe or noticing gratitude. And so we're going to start with the breathing technique. And I was just talking about this with my students, and we were talking about stress. And it's important to understand that stress obviously is a natural, normal part of life. None of us can live without stress. Even if you try to live without stress, what happens is that your nervous system will find the smallest thing stressful. If you tend to live with a lot of stress, what happens sometimes is that you just get into a sense of overwhelm. What can happen, though, is that you can train, and there's all sorts of instances about this. And one of my most favorite ones, since it's so physical, is people who jump out of airplanes. They actually train to control their breath rate and to control their heart rate as they're doing this, what seems to me like a terrifying thing of jumping out of a plane. So training your nervous system to respond to stress is something you can actually do. So we're going to start that practice today. And the way we're going to start it is with a very simple tool called diaphragmatic breathing. And so when we breathe, you may have tried this or attempted this before, but I think it's important to kind of understand a little bit about the basics of the anatomy. So when you breathe, there are a couple muscles involved in the inhalation, and there's a couple muscles involved in the exhalation. And actually, of course, you're going to breathe on your own, even when you're not thinking about it. But if you can sort of bring your thought process and bring your felt sense into your body, it can start to sway your nervous system and actually move your nervous system out of the fight or flight towards a place of rest and digest. And that place of rest and digest is really important because that's a place where you can access all sorts of creative thinking and problem solving. And it's a place also where you can move into sleep if you need some rest. So the diaphragm is a muscle, and it sits underneath your heart and your lungs, and it's umbrella shaped. And I think it's the only muscle in the body that when it contracts, it actually inverts. And when it inverts, think of it like like an umbrella that goes upside down. And that upside down muscle comes down into the area where your stomach is, where your liver is, your gallbladder, your spleen, your intestines. And so when you inhale and you're breathing using your diaphragm, there's this relaxation, this opening that happens through the whole of your belly. And then when you exhale, very naturally, that muscle can relax, the diaphragm relaxes, and in its relaxation, it comes back up like a normal umbrella. So it goes from inverted on the contraction to then just a normal umbrella as you exhale. It's like a rebound or an elastic coil that happens in muscle. So the easiest, best way to start learning how to diaphragmatically breathe, I think, is on the floor, because it is the place where you are the least taxed. And it's also the place where you get a lot of feedback and information about what's happening inside of your body. But if you don't have time to lie down, or if you are in the midst of something, you do not need to lie down. You can diaphragmatically breathe and be sitting in traffic, or even be lecturing, and you can still be diaphragmatic breathing. But for the case of our video, for the purpose of our video, I am going to go ahead and I am going to lie down. So you'll see my pillow back there. And I'm just going to walk us through this diaphragmatic breathing. And what you may want to do wherever you are is take your hands and find the space between your pelvis and your ribs. And that is sort of the area where your abdomen lies, right? And where your viscera that I was talking about are in the front. In the back of you, you have very strong back muscles, hopefully very strong back muscles. And so everyone, when you take a breath in, you can notice that your hands, when you breathe diaphragmatically, they're going to move apart. And if you have your hands resting on the front of your abdomen, they're going to move out in front of you as you inhale. So let's practice breathing that way. And we're going to take a couple breaths just at your own pace first. And then I'm going to add in an extra layer of rest and relaxation to it. So you can place your hands on that space somewhere between your ribs and your pelvis. And as you inhale, you won't be able to feel that muscle drawing down, but you'll be able to feel its effects because the whole of your belly will sort of open up as some of the space in your abdomen gets taken up by your diaphragm. As you exhale, your diaphragm's naturally going to recoil like an umbrella back up under your lungs and under your heart. And let's just take maybe 2 more breaths this way, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Without holding the breath or even without changing it too much. We'll do 1 more breath this way. Good. And now, as you're breathing, try to extend your breath, maybe by just 1 count, and let your exhalation be slightly longer than your inhalation. So go ahead on your own time, breathing in for a low number and breathing out for just a slightly longer count, taking a little bit longer on your exhalation. Good. And take a moment here in the next few breaths as you're breathing. Just tune into the felt sense in the body. Notice any muscle tension or holding. You don't have to push it away, just kind of tuning in, noticing maybe any content of your mind. And if you notice things, you can put them in a little folder and then just come back to your breathing or come back to the felt sense of your body and spend 1 or 2 breaths feeling what it feels like to breathe inside of the body. So tuning into the pelvic region, the abdominal region, or maybe the area around your heart and lungs as you're taking a couple breaths. Imagine like you were a little cell inside of there. What would the breath, what does it feel like inside? Good. And if you can breathe this way, maybe, 8 to 10 times every hour, this can be a very helpful adjunct for supporting your body and your nervous system in this time. And over time, you can grow the habit when you're in a difficult conversation or traffic or situations of just giving yourself a couple deep breaths. And this can be trainable and help you train your nervous system. And it might be helpful in allowing you to access more creativity in your responses to things like traffic or difficult conversations. So I am going to go ahead and just step aside. And then Selma will come in and help us as well.
I'm looking for the to transfer it from your screen. Oh,
Oh,
here it is.
I think it will naturally go some.
Okay,
I think
let's
it will
see.
yeah, let's try.
So far, no, even though I'm talking. Let me see. I'm going to put it,
You can always pin yourself if you'd like.
I'm going to put it on gallery and then on me,
Yeah.
just as speaker. Okay, so no, it's not doing it. Really interesting. Isn't this ridiculous?
I know. You know what, though, Selma? I think it might be okay because when I was recording and talking, I mostly saw you, but I think that's natural in the recording. But then when we look at the video, I think it, like, based on who's,
Okay, so I'm going to just leave it on
I
speaker.
would try. Yeah, just leave it on speaker
Okay,
for you. Let's see. I'll be quiet. Okay. I'm going to mute myself, in fact.
okay. So after that wonderful lesson in moving your body to its natural deep rhythm of breathing, many of you had the pleasure of really feeling, I want to say some words like contentment or being in touch with yourself or more relaxed. I call it settling down, especially when you do it on the floor. And I'm going to take you now to another kind of exercise you can do that can recreate that wonderful feeling in you on demand. It's one of the tools in this self-care toolbox Trina and I are developing. During the pandemic, I studied microdosing on awe. And nowadays, with all the tensions around, learning to microdose on awe is like stringing little beads on a necklace of giving yourself moments of great awe and pleasure. And it's so simple. If you're in an office like I am today, you can look at a plant, or you can listen to a wonderful laugh of a person, or you can tune in to some trees outside the window or across the street. And of course, if you're in nature outside, you can look at anything that touches your heart and kind of makes your heart go open. And in that state, you naturally do deep breathing, relaxed, slow, deep breathing, the way Trina explained it to us naturally. And to induce it, you can do this it's a 20-second exercise. Find something to focus on right now. It could even be a memory of something beautiful that touched your heart. And you just look at it. Take a deep breath and release. Another deep breath and exaggerate the pleasure in your body from looking at this beautiful thing that inspires awe, or a sound that inspires awe, a piece of music that touches your soul. And then let go of your breath. And even as you let go of that vision or sound of awe, your body is in a different state, psychologically and chemically. Your brain has stopped producing the fight or flight chemicals and is producing the relax and digest. Relax and digest is critical to teach yourself how to stay in it for longer than an instant, because it's where our body repairs itself. It's where your intuition works, where creativity, connection to another, all the wonderful qualities that make us human begin from that place. So I encourage you at random times in the next week to find something to look at once or twice a day that arouses awe, delight, opens your heart, and connects you with your deeper self. Have fun with this.